If you care about the NHS in this election, here's what you should be looking out for.
I promise.
My vision.
Our manifesto.
Your choice.
I'm going to be talking about 4 key issues: mental health, A&E, staffing, and what social care means for the NHS, and some things to watch for in the upcoming party manifestos. But first I should mention we're talking here about the NHS in England, as that'll be what's debated at the Westminster elections. The devolved administrations run their own health systems, with elections at different times. First, mental health. NHS leaders have promised that mental health spending will rise in line with the overall NHS budget and not fall behind. They say an extra 380,000 people a year will get access to talking therapies, and there'll be more resources for schools to support pupils. But what's the reality? Only 3 in 10 children and young people with a mental health condition received NHS-funded treatment. There were around 8,700 patients who had to travel out of their local area to get the right treatment because of a shortage of beds. So what's the policy check? It's things to check for to judge how this electoral issue is being handled. Look out for what the political parties promise. How much is new money over and above what's already been pledged? And how much after accounting for inflation? So what about hospital care and the front line in accident and emergency? The main concern for A&E is waiting times. Current government targets say that 95% of patients should be treated or assessed within 4 hours, but official figures show this target hasn't been hit since 2015. Experts say funding and staff will help tackle waiting times, but they say watch out for big number spending promises in manifestos. What do they look like relative to increased demand? The future of the NHS depends on having well-trained staff, but there's currently a shortage of staff like nurses and doctors, with around 100,000 vacancies across the NHS in England. Fewer people are applying for nursing training since the ending of free tuition, though places are still being filled. Government figures show non-British nationals make up around 13% of NHS staffing. Here, look out for manifesto policies not just on health but also immigration. Campaigners say staff will be needed from abroad to fill these roles, so policies on things like working visas will be important. And look out as well for pledges on staff numbers. Training can take several years and prove to be expensive. Social care is funded through local councils, which have seen budgets squeezed in England. Spending by local authorities on social care has fallen by 5% over the last 8 years, though some extra central government funding has been earmarked. Manifestos need to address where future money for care will come from. Crucially, how will political parties tackle the perceived injustice of many families having to pay for their social care needs? Should some of the system be free like the NHS? But if so, how will that be funded? You may hear expressions like free personal care, which is available in Scotland but not in England, an end to means testing, and a cap on care costs. That means limiting how much families have to pay. The reality is that the NHS and social care are under huge pressure as the population ages. There are more older patients with complex conditions. Demand is rising faster than the resources available. How to address all that will be central to the election campaign.